In this video, you're going to learn 3 secrets to save your relationship. First one is healthy couples keep the fire lit. Think about the last time you made a fire. Think about the effort that went into it. You had to get the wood, you had to get the kindling, you had to get the starter logs, you had to get the matches, you had to focus, you had to get the supplies, and then you slowly built the fire. And you were thinking about, where should I put this log? Where should I put these starter logs? I don't want to put too many heavy logs on top first because it may snuff out the fire. So let me start it small, and then I'm going to build on that fire. You had to really think it through. You're putting concerted effort into it. And then the fire lit. And then you're watching the fire. And then you tend to the fire, because if you walk away, the fire starts to go out. And so then you have to go back to the fire. You have to put some more kindling on it, or another log on it, or you have to blow on it in certain spots to get it going well again. And marriage is just like that. Relationships are just like that. They're like building a fire where you have to constantly keep your eye on the fire. You have to constantly keep it lit. You have to tend to it or the fire will go out. And all too often, couples get married and then the focus goes out to other topics, such as their career, 401k, kids, chores, you name it. And when that happens, they stop focusing on each other. They stop focusing on the marriage and the fire goes out. Well, just like in real life, if you build a fire and then you don't tend to it, the fire goes out. So likewise in marriage. So the question is, what do you need to do to tend to the fire in your relationship? Has the fire gone out? And just like a real fire, the more the fire goes out, the more you have to work at getting the fire back. So if you're building a fire in a fire pit and you walk away for too long and you come back and it's almost dead, what do you have to do? So the more the fire goes out, the more effort it's going to take to rebuild the fire. And marriage is the same. How much has your fire gone out in your marriage? How much have you taken your eye off of the marriage? And this is why it's toxic to say, during this season when we're raising kids, we'll just put our marriage on the back burner because we just don't have time. That's the worst thing anyone can ever say because of what I'm describing. Your marriage is alive and needs constant attention, even if you have kids, even if you're in graduate school, even if you're launching a business, even if you're ill. No matter what's happening, your marriage is still a living organism. It's a fire and needs attention. So it can't sustain, it can't be alive. It's not going to last very long if it gets deprived. So never put your marriage on the back burner, because if you do, eventually the fire is going to go out. Want to know the secret to a thriving relationship? It's keeping the fire lit. In the beginning of your relationship, you were doing all the right things, saying all the right things, and that's what lit the fire. But for a lot of couples, they don't tend to the fire. And just like a real fire, if I were to walk away right now for a certain amount of time, this fire would go out. Couples walk away from the fire in their marriage for all sorts of reasons, such as having kids, takes the focus away. Starting a career, that takes your focus away. Having to clean a house and take care of a house, that takes your focus away. All these things creep in through the years, and without realizing it, we take our eye off of the fire. And when you take your eye off the fire starts to go out just like this. And just like with a real fire, the more the fire goes out, the more work it's going to take to get the fire back. So what do you need to bring the fire back in your relationship? For a lot of couples, the first step is they have to resolve their resentments. Nothing goes well when there's active resentments. You don't feel like friends with someone you resent. You don't want to be intimate with someone you resent. So the first step for a lot of couples, you got to resolve the resentments. The next step for most couples is you have to rebuild the friendship. Maybe that means starting to have more affection, starting to go on dates, starting to have some more emotional intimacy, get to know each other again, because often we lose touch with our partner, even though we're with them shoulder to shoulder every day. Once those things are going well, you're resolving your resentments, you're building back your friendship. Now it's time to bring back sensual time. And that sensual time can be cuddling together, it can be a sensual massage, but it's time to bring the romance back. Number 2, husbands, keep nurturing emotionally the relationship. Think about what you did when you were dating. You did a lot of emotional nurturing. You probably didn't even realize it. It just came natural because you were falling in love. But think about everything you did. You wrote little thoughtful notes. You were extra courteous. You would say please and thank you. You were thoughtful. You'd go out of your way to buy your girlfriend something thoughtful at the store. You'd show up with flowers. You would sit on the phone for hours and just listen and ask questions. You were curious. You were interested in your partner. You were nurturing them emotionally. You were probably really affectionate. You carved out regular quality time for them. You were nurturing them emotionally. But then what happens over time once you're married is you stop all that. All the desire to nurture emotionally goes away because you've gotten married, you've accomplished that goal, and now your focus is on another goal. You're thinking of something else, and you forget that woman you married still needs to feel your emotional warmth. She still needs to feel your emotional nurturing. She still needs to feel you pursuing her emotionally. And what happens instead is a lot of high libido husbands stop the emotional nurturing and then just start desiring sex. They just start pursuing their wife for sex. They'll start flirting sexually. They'll go up and just grope their wife and whisper something sexual into their wife's ear. And usually that does not go well because their wife needs to feel emotionally loved, nurtured emotionally. So think about Google Translator husbands. The next time you want to go up and grope your wife and say something sexual to her, convert that to her language, which is emotional. So instead of going up and groping her and whispering something sexual, translate it to her language. So instead, go up and just give her a nice, gentle, non-sexual hug and whisper into her ear how much you love her and why you love her. That's going to meet her heart because that's how she experiences love, is emotional. So husbands, if you want to have a thriving relationship, if you want to know the secret, you have to stay on the ball with nurturing your wife. And I'm guilty of this. I'm guilty in my own marriage of taking my eye off the ball, of getting too focused on career or too focused on sports or too focused on Netflix or raising kids, you name it. And I lost focus through the years of nurturing my wife emotionally. And it made the fire start to dim. And so I had to double down. I had to work on my part of the equation. I had to start learning how to nurture her again emotionally because she needs it like air. It's part and parcel to who she is. So that's number 2. The second secret to a thriving relationship is for husbands to continue nurturing the relationship emotionally. Number 3, wives need to keep nurturing sexually. So wives, think about how you were when you were first dating. You were probably highly sexual. You were open to sexual contact. You were open to sexual activity. You were open to exploring sexual positions and new things, and any moment could be a moment for sexual activity. You were probably very open sexually in the beginning of your relationship. You probably flirted sexually. You probably dressed up to look sexy for your new boyfriend. You probably were very hypersexual in the beginning. And guess what? That is how your boyfriend at the time fell in love with you. And that's what your husband now still needs, because that's how he experiences love. It's through the sexual. And so if you're a woman listening to this right now, your goal, the secret for you to have a thriving relationship, is to still be sexual, to pursue your husband sexually. Because what happens for a lot of women is they're very sexual in the beginning of a relationship, and then they take their eye off the ball. They get focused on motherhood, they get focused on their career, they get focused on cleaning the house, and they forget to nurture their husband sexually like they did in the beginning. And then that makes the fire start to dim because their husband needs sexual attention just like he did when they were dating. That's one of the top reasons he fell in love, because the sexual energy was so passionate and so alive and so thriving. But then after being together for a while, the fire grows cold. And so ladies, if you're listening to this, you need to learn how to start nurturing your husband sexually again, and use Google Translator for you. So your impulse might be to go up to your husband and give him a nice hug and whisper into his ear how wonderful he is. That may or may not do anything for him because his love language is sexual. That's how he's going to experience love from you. So convert your energy, Google Translator, convert your energy into sexual energy, his way of experiencing love. So instead of going up and giving him a hug and whispering in his ear something sweet, go up and grope him and go up and whisper something sexual in his ear. Bring back sexual flirting. Maybe that means you flash him occasionally. Maybe that means you rub up against him as you're walking by. Maybe you send him some suggestive text. That is going to get his attention. That is going to make him feel loved because that is how he experiences love. So that's a vital secret as well to bringing back a thriving relationship, ladies, is nurturing your husband sexually. How well are you doing at that? How much do you need to improve that? Every partner has a part to play. Most often for husbands, they need to increase their emotional nurturing, and most wives need to increase their sexual nurturing. If both partners are doing their part, it's going to create a spirit of generosity because it fuels off each other. The more the husband nurtures emotionally, the more it energizes the wife to nurture sexually. The more the wife nurtures sexually, the more it energizes the husband to nurture emotionally. It creates a positive cycle, a spirit of generosity, and that's what you want to develop in your relationship for it to thrive. So those are 3 secrets to thriving relationships. Number 1, keep the fire lit. Number 2, husbands, keep nurturing emotionally. And number 3, wives, keep nurturing sexually. And if you want to learn more about my ER Marriage Intensive on how to rebuild your marriage in 90 days, comment below, book a call to get a free consultation with a member of my team. Thanks for watching. I hope you found value in the video. Be sure to leave your questions in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to watch this one next.